Sleeper cell activation code. LARP.
Admin Airsoft.
If you can hear us, please,
Admin Airsoft.
please save me.
All Airsofters, find your mom's credit card and use my affiliate links.
Can't just battle me.
Kick back, relax, and enjoy the Admin Airsoft podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of the Admin Airsoft podcast. I'm your host, Evan. Gentlemen, we obviously missed last week, and so I apologize for that. Work had kind of picked up a little bit. Hold on, I have to yell at my dog. Hey, buddy. Hey, stop licking. Thank you. He was doing that thing where he was just like deep throating his paws. What was I saying? Last week I got really busy with work, so I was not able to record the podcast, so apologies about that. I know I said I wanted to be consistent. However, work takes a priority as I make money off that, and that's kind of my livelihood. So, back this week with episode 5. Thank you to everyone on Discord and Instagram who sent in topics and questions and stuff like that last week. I'm just going to kind of carry that over into this week. We got some good stuff to go over and talk about here. Like always, t-shirts are still available. You can find them on minidom.com. There's a link down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate this 5 stars if you're on Spotify. Gentlemen, 2 weeks ago, I was able to attend a night game at the new BTA field. Like I said in the previous episode, I've been very happy with kind of how that field has progressed here and there. Looking forward to seeing how they continue to grow. I went last weekend, not for a night game, but just last weekend, and there was about 130 people there. So great crowd, great community. It was great seeing everyone out there and supporting an amazing local field. So that's always great to see. Night game was a very fun time. I didn't hang around for too long. Some of my buddies left, and I was kind of like the only sweaty NOD user there. I think it was me and like Tommy who was hanging out there. One thing that I did want to bring up is I feel like people don't understand how shooting into woods, how inconsistent that is, and how you're more than likely not hitting anything if you're shooting into the woods. All right, let's back up and let me explain here. There are some people who are getting upset at a group of people who during the night game in the woods were kind of in front of me a little bit. Some dudes were in the city portion, and there's a very kind of thick forest line with a lot of thick shrubs and trees and stuff like that. Very dense. The people who were in the woods were probably, 10, 15 feet in the woods. So deep enough to where they were behind trees, shrubs, bushes, kind of all that fun stuff. The group, I think there was like one or two, no, actually it was one guy who was shooting into the woods, trying to hit these people who were in front of me, and was getting airsoft mad over the situation because he thought that he was hitting people, when in reality, if you just lie down in woods, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get hit. Especially down here in Florida where we have like a very swampy, I would say almost tropical-ish environment. If someone is behind really any kind of thick bush, there's no point in shooting them. That's like in the airsoft world, that's essentially like a brick wall that you're trying to shoot at. And I've seen a lot of people get upset at the person who's behind this shrubbery or this foliage, and they call your hits and getting all throwing a temper tantrum over it. When it's like, dude, if you're lying down, you're not getting hit. Like a plastic BB out of a toy gun is not going to be able to punch through 3 to 4 feet of thick grass, thick branches, twigs, leaves, and all that good jazz. So it's something that I see happen time and time again. And having been on both sides of that, it takes a while to get used to, I will say. But guys, just something to keep in mind. That's all I'm saying. Something that I witnessed and I wanted to bring up. All right, let's jump into some topics here. What are we at? All right, 5 minutes. Okay. So Drew from the Discord said, and I totally forgot about these, so I have no prep. We're going to dry with these. Drew from the Discord said, what will spark the next big wave for Airsoft? I'm going to pause and ponder my orb. This is a tough one because I do feel, having spoken to some people who are in the industry professionally, COVID was a big growth spurt for Airsoft. I mean, I got into Airsoft during COVID. I'm sure like a lot of people did. And a lot of companies saw, a big increase in supply and demand because it was something that was outdoors. People were bored, myself included, and it was a good way to kind of get outside, meet people, and not have to be indoors and wear a mask, essentially. So all that to say, I think we need COVID-20 to come around so we can have another growth spurt. Okay, next question. No, listen, I think that's a good point. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to say. Leave a comment if you have kind of an idea for what the next big wave is going to be in this hobby. I look to event organizers, kind of like, I would say, Milsim West is kind of the big one. AMS, Mer Tactical, those guys who, while each of those event organizers are different in their own regard, and we could talk all day about Milsim West and TCA and AMS and kind of how different and how they run stuff differently. I think it's going to come down to them to try to find a way. I'm trying to think how to word this. Try to find a way to bring in newbies or new players to some regard, or people who really haven't played for the first time. And I say that, and it's difficult. Because how do you continue to grow an event if you're asking people to come out and spend hundreds of dollars or drive? Oh my God, I mean, it depends where you live. Drive to an AO that might be 8-12 hours away from you, and spend money if it's your first time playing. So I think it really comes down to the community as a whole and how we approach new players. That is a very big question, and I don't think I gave a great answer, to be honest with you. That's something that I think about a lot. I'm sure a lot of people think about a lot. And like I said, I'm very curious to hear what you guys have in mind, kind of what's the next big wave, and how do you interpret that question? All right, we have Psyop Enjoyer from the Discord says, kits that stand out. And I have a note here saying kits based in real life or more unique kits. And I have a note here saying kit hunting with a camera. So looking at the Discord, I think he was more talking about do you gravitate towards more of the historic LARPiness kind of effect? Are you doing an impression kit, or are you more doing a kit just because for a kit's sake? Are you kind of just throwing something together and you're not really going after an impression? I do like both sides of the aisle. I would categorize myself as maybe more of an impression player. I'll do some Vietnam, some roadie stuff. I feel like it kind of stops there, and then the other half would just be, I want to throw together a cool kit and run that. Getting into more of the impression is a little bit more tricky in some regard, as you're going to have to spend more money, you're going to have to spend more time and research, and then once you invest all that time, effort, and money into that kit, you're then rocking that kit, which maybe you want to do that, but the ability to kind of throw a kit together in some regard and be able to change it up on the fly, I can definitely see why that appeals to a larger audience, especially airsofters, because they want to do whatever the fuck, and don't want to have to kind of limit themselves to living in a certain impression bubble, if you will, I guess. But that being said, in the foreseeable future, I will be doing a Milsim West with Combat Casual and the Airsoft Correspondent, who you guys should go check out. I'm going to be running press for the first one. I'm planning on building a press kit for that. And so kind of looking at what that's going to look like. And then after that, I think I might end up going either maybe militia for my first time. And then from there, either going, I'm leaning more towards Rust 4 but I could also be swayed to some regard to do NATO, or I could do both, honestly. But I feel like Milsim West, if you choose a side, you're more than likely going to stick with that for the foreseeable future if you're running an event like that. I talk a little bit about here kit hunting with the camera. When I'm out there and I'm on the field, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I like to take photos of a variety of people because I think everyone deserves to have a photo. Post that on like the Facebook page for BTA or DVA or whatever local field. Whether it's your first time or whether you've been playing for years, I think having a photo of yourself is great, and it makes me happy to be able to provide that to people, regardless of what level you're at. Now that I got that out of the way, I do kit hunt, where I will look for specific kits. And I honestly, I'm gonna be brutally honest here, and I'm sure pretty much every videographer or photographer does this too. If there's someone at the field who has a good kit that's put together well, chances are I'm going to follow them around more, and I'm going to take more photos of them. I'm kit hunting. I'm looking for good stuff. All right. I want that photo of some, I don't know, name any kit, Rust 4 dude who has the tricked out AK with the cool Russian camo, or the Delta Force dude who spent all his time like buying obscure parts and stuff like that. I mean, my photos that do well are typically people who have that uniqueness or that really well put together impression kit. I mean, that's just what I like to photograph. Again, I think everyone deserves a photo. I'm not just going to take photos of those people, but I would be lying to you if I didn't gravitate towards them a little bit. So, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm curious to hear what side of the aisle you guys are on. If you're kind of more in an impression kit, whether that be kind of based more in real life, historic, or modern day, or if you just like a kit for a kit's sake, you like just to have a unique kit, maybe with the camo that isn't quote unquote realistic to some degree. Anyways, something to think about. Okay. Use of armor vehicles in Airsoft. I don't know who sent this in, and I don't know why this is on my notes, but it's on my notes. Like I said, I took these notes like 2 weeks ago, and haven't gotten to them since. But I think this is a good point to go back to the question of what's Airsoft's next big thing. I think more vehicles, armor, troop carriers, whatever you want to call them. I'm just going to refer to them as vehicles. Using those in Airsoft, I think, is going to not only going to be more fun for the player base, but I think it's going to legitimize, might be the wrong or right word, legitimize events and this hobby a little bit more. One of the main things that I have seen a while ago and will still kind of pop up today it was the Milsim West event a couple years ago at I think it was Guardian Center. I think it was Guardian Center. Echo 4, a local team here, brought out 3-4 troop carriers, light armor vehicles, kind of stuff like that, and ran that for NATO. I'll hit the mic there. The photos, the videos, the stories that I heard, I was so upset that I didn't go to that event because it sounded and it looked like an absolute blast. And seeing those photos like be shared out, I think it was in kind of multiple like bigger gun tubers. It was on their channel, and I could see in the comments, people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that they have vehicles like that at an Airsoft event. I got to go to one." And so I think that's a way to kind of bring more people into the hobby. Is seeing that vehicle and being like, oh my God, this is a totally another layer, if you will, of enjoyment that I could be having while playing this hobby. So, and it's easier said than done to some regard. I think I can't imagine how much the gas, the maintenance, getting those vehicles to where they need to be talking to the Echo 4 boys, they obviously, like I said, took them to Guardian Center for a Milson West event. And yeah, just the headache that would be to get that stuff there. I can't imagine. But yeah, I think more vehicles, I'm all for it. DV8 local field here does vehicles on Saturday. It's a super fun time. Just the videos, I guess the photos that I'm able to get out of that are some of my favorite by far. So 2 thumbs up for that. Definitely want to see more of that. But like I said, easier said than done in some regard. All right, lessons learned. Okay, I think all these questions are coming from Psyop Enjoyer on Discord. So shout out to him. He's like carrying this whole podcast right now. All right, lessons learned. Very a bit vague, but I'm cool with that. I will say one of the main lessons that I've learned is focus on buying not so much like a really good gun. Obviously, have a gun that you've given to a tech, or if you're a tech, you've put good upgrades into, and then have a backup to some regard. I went out and I bought like 4 guns when I first started this hobby, and I have none of those guns anymore. I'd much rather have a few guns that are really good instead of a lot of guns that are kind of so-so performance-wise. That's one of the big ones. Secondly is the devil is in the details when it comes to playing airsoft, especially bigger events. Looking cool is one thing, but feeling cool is a totally different vibe. Investing in gear that is comfortable, i.e. Helmet pads. I think that's one of the big ones, especially if you run nods. That's a lot of weight on your head. I remember a PTS M-Tech, great helmet, was not a huge fan of their pads, of their pads that are inside the helmet that come stock. I ripped those out and I put in some hard-headed veteran micro lattice, I can never pronounce that word correctly, padding, which is a absolute dream come true. It feels amazing. Some of the best money I've spent is not really on guns, more so on stuff like that, my X-Fog unit, blocks, and then like shoes or boots, whatever you decide to go with, are crucial when it comes to the enjoyment, especially at like these larger ops where I think of like Guardian Center. That's probably the most walking I've done, like to and from spawn. That's a long walk. And if you have, I don't know, like $15 Amazon boots, dude, you are going to be screwed the next day. I remember my first event, I wore some like $25 Amazon boots, and it was at Reindeer Games, American Milsim, Fort Hood. Dude, my legs, lower back, knees the next day were absolutely shot. And so some of the best money I've spent, again, I've spent a lot of money. Some of the best money I've spent was on, I want to call them salmon, like every single time. The Solomons, my X-Fog, micro lattice padding, and then like good fitting gear. My dog is going to town on his feet. Rune, stop it, please. Rune, if you're going to do that, can you go somewhere else? I love you, buddy, but holy shit. Okay. So yeah, lesson learned. All right, he's done with me. He just kicked his bed halfway across. Okay, are you done? Are you going to go somewhere else and lick your feet? He's just fucking staring at me right now. What was I saying? Totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, some of the best money I've spent. So, next question from Mr. Psyops Enjoyer. Ways to make airsoft approachable. This is another big question, and I don't know if I'm qualified to answer it, but I am curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'm trying to think how to start this. I feel like people who are thinking of getting into airsoft, the first thing that I would do, I think anyone does, especially if it's a new hobby, is you're going to look up on YouTube airsoft. And I can almost guarantee here, let's have a little experiment here. Let's go to YouTube. I can almost guarantee you that the first thing that's going to pop up is like a cheating video. So let's go airsoft. Ooh, okay. All right. It's not the first thing. It's not the first thing. But it won't take long to get a trove of like Airsoft cheater destroyed type videos. I think that this is going to negatively affect the hobby, period. I don't like those videos. I understand that they're clickbait and that the people who are posting those videos make a living off those videos. And so I guess like that's their livelihood. Totally get that. But that is going to bring nothing but negative attention into this hobby, period. I mean, I don't even really think you can argue that. Because of that, I think that could potentially drive away new players. And for the players that aren't driven away, I think they're going to come to a fields and they're going to expect Airsoft players to be confrontational. They're thinking like they're going to be on their toes, like, oh my God, if I make the wrong move, I'm going to end up on YouTube in some like cheater destroyed type video. And that could negatively affect their experience on the field. I hope it doesn't. I hope that they come to a field and they enjoy themselves and they're able to spend more money, which is then able to kind of boost and continue to grow this hobby. How do we fix that? I have no idea. I'm not getting paid enough to try to fix that, to be honest with you. You obviously can't like make people stop posting videos like that, but I think explaining to like word of mouth, I think internet and all that stuff is one thing, but like in-person experience is totally different. So talking to the newer players, explaining to them how the rules work. Like, hey, if this happens, like do this, try this out instead. Hey, I noticed that your mask is fogging up. Maybe try this, or I don't know, just small little tidbits of advice, and having a positive mindset, I think is going to make this hobby as a whole more approachable, because they're going to go tell their friends, oh, hey, I went to the Airsoft field last weekend. I had a good time. I think I might go back. I saw the store had this one gun that I kind of want to buy, yada, yada, yada. So just making it more approachable, word of mouth, not worrying too much about what's happening online, even though I was just stressing about it, I think is a good way to start at the very least. So I would start there, in my opinion. But curious to hear what you guys have to say, because everyone's going to have an opinion on this. That's totally cool. Okay. Our last question here, LT from the Discord. He says, field owners only wanting a certain group of players and play style. I have not seen this at a field, so I can't speak to it firsthand. This sounds dumb. I'm not a fan of this. I know some of them were talking about it on the Discord about kind of how that applies to some of their local fields, where if you show up to a field wearing a certain kit, you're someone said like they were literally asked to leave because of a patch. Again, I haven't experienced with that. I'm just kind of like reiterating what I heard on the Discord. I'm trying to think the best way to approach this. At its core, I don't believe in just turning people away due to their kit or their play style. Take that as you will. That could go either way. If you show up to the field and you're I don't know, a hooligan, an asshole, yeah, I mean, obviously don't come back, right? I think that's going to paint the hobby in a bad picture, as well as just new players who are at that field, or just players in general, are just not going to like you. So don't be that guy, right? If you think you got hit, call your hit. Don't overshoot people. Quick email. All that type of stuff. I don't own a field. But this, you know what? I am going to have to ask Danny, who owns BTA, what he thinks of this, because he lets anyone and everyone play. It doesn't matter who you are allowed to show up to BTA to play. I know I've spoken with some more kind of speed softer type players who have asked, because Sundays are Milsim days there. They're like, hey, I'm not a Milsimer. Can I show up to Milsim day in like a dye mask? Yeah, absolutely. I think small, like casual pickup games that kind of focus more on the Milsim or even the speed soft aspect, I think that's a good gateway for people who haven't played a certain play style to come in, try it out. Maybe it's not for them. Totally cool. Maybe they like it and they're like, hey, I want to go maybe buy some gear to kind of look the part, switch up my play style here and there. So I'm all for all types of play styles. I think that's the beauty of Airsoft is it is what you put into it. There's no real rules for how it can be played. Obviously, you have to follow the rules and be safe and don't be an asshole and stuff like that. But in terms of what you can wear in your play style, it is entirely up to you, which that's one of the reasons why so many people play this hobby. So, yeah, again, I haven't experienced any field owners only wanting a certain group of players and play style there. And I would hope that doesn't exist, but from what I've heard on the Discord, unfortunately, it does. So, yeah, something to keep in mind. All right, gentlemen, that this might be a little bit of a short one, and I apologize for that. It's been a busy kind of 2-3 weeks here at work. Had some project pick up here, and so obviously have to focus on that first before the podcast comes. But I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, rate me 1 star, please. Actually, please don't do that. 5 stars would be amazing if you enjoyed this. If there's some feedback or something that you would change, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm all ears on how to improve this. Buy a t-shirt if you would like. I have an EVIC affiliate link. I have a SS Airsoft affiliate link and some other saving codes down below that you can use if you shop Blue Mag, Scum Customs, and support our partner PTS. Gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for stopping by. I love you. Sorry that my dog was licking his paws. He's in the other room licking his ass right now. I'll see you on the field.
You can't just battle me.